Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of NXTilosos, the sexiest NXT review show out there on the internet currently in 2026. My name is Mikey. I am El Jefe of BC WrestlePod, and of course, I am joined by the Pleat Father himself, the Kilt Man, as he was our eyes and ears and feet on the ground for this go home edition of NXT that we're going to be talking about tonight. But we are also going to be making our predictions for Vengeance Day, which is this Saturday. So it should be a very, very fun time. But before we get into NXT proper, as we always do here, let's go through the, housekeeping, if you will. YouTube, Twitch, and Kick is where you can see us go live. And YouTube also houses our edited edition of these lives that go up the following day at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. But if you're looking for something a little bit more self-contained, our social media at BC WrestlePod is where you can find us, where we have the report cards, we have the previews of the weekly shows, we have prediction stuff, and we have clips from our reviews. So those are always a fun time to watch. But we also understand that social media might not be everyone's game. And if you're looking to support us in a different type of way, well, we also have some merch available for you at our shop, bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com, where we have shirts for all of our weekly shows and more coming later this week. And last but certainly not least, of course, we pay for a lot of streaming services. We pay for a lot of pay-per-views. And if you feel inclined to help us, make sure that everything is taken care of and all this and to help pay the bills, so to speak, Coffee Bot in Twitch and chat every couple of minutes will be popping up. And you could just click that link and donate to that way because we love you and we love the support. But it is not an important thing for you to feel like you have to. No pressure there. As we know that times are economically tough for everyone out here. We are scraping by paycheck to paycheck, y'all. All right, that's out of the way, Kilt. Let's get into this NXT because this was the go home edition, which we leading us into Vengeance Day coming up this weekend.
So many things happened.
So many things happened. I feel like we wrapped up some stuff. We're setting up for things past Vengeance Day, and we kind of put the final details together for our matches at Vengeance Day. So let's just jump into it, shall we? So, Kilt, let's talk about this really quickly. So, of course, before NXT, Kilt got to see a couple of LFG stuff happening. So that was the thing that happened. So the current filming for season 3 of LFG is happening. So yeah, Kilt. So how was that experience?
Weird. Because, okay, I haven't been paying a lot of attention to LFG
Uh-huh.
for obvious reasons. I did find out how I can go to more tapings of Evolve.
Ooh.
That's another conversation.
We'll talk
Um,
afterwards.
yeah. Um, you just never know who you're going to meet when you're there.
Mhm.
Lovely gentleman named Jimmy that I got to sit next to, both on the bus then and while we were watching the show. Telling me all sorts of things. Great guy. Retiree. Lives in a freaking trailer. Lives 6 months in a trailer. Uh, great. Anyway, let me move forward. Um, honestly, again. It's weird because I don't know a lot of the story and like the behind the scenes stuff, and so I'm watching these two matches because there's only two matches that I can remember.
Oh my god.
Exactly. Um, it was kind of like that. Like it was some dude named Angel against someone else, and I don't remember who it is. Then there was a tag match, and it was like one of the I'm trying to remember that. And I think one of them is named Hendrix. It was Apollo and someone else versus Hendrix and some weird, creepy. I don't know what his gimmick was. Again, LFG is like the shadows for me.
It's
So it
it's
was weird.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting that you're watching these matches because we haven't even season 3 of LFG hasn't even come out yet. So
When you don't have context of what you're watching, all you know is no one likes one person.
apparently, so
And it's like, I mean, yeah, I can kind of get it. He seems like he seems like his character is going to be kind of a bit of an ass, but
mm,
I don't have any context behind what these two matches I'm watching. Um, Outside
very
of
fair.
two of them are wimpy little. Anyway, so moving forward, because again, I need more. I'm definitely need more context. So what I'll do is I will try and dig into some way to find LFG season 3 when it drops
See if
and
you can
see
find
it.
yourself.
Well, I could not find myself because I was so far up. I was in the last row against the entrance.
Ah,
So that's why I was able to get such great shots.
as we come to learn.
Oh God.
Anywho, so save that for your spank bank. No, I'm just
Anyway,
kidding.
let's move forward with the actual show because LFG we can talk about some other year.
For real. All right, let's get into NXT proper, shall we? Because Kilt, at least at home, we kicked off with a face-off between the new NXT North American champion, Miles Bourne, and the former NXT North American champion, All Ego Ethan Page. We get
Wait
a
a
little
second.
bit
Wait
of
a second. Wait a second. Wait a second.
uh-huh.
There I am.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm dead serious.
Hell yeah.
You see the arch?
Oh yeah.
That's my face.
Nice. Anywho, so these two go a little bit back and forth. Ethan wants a rematch. Miles is happy to give it, and we're getting it right now while they're still dressed in their day clothes.
Oh my God, this was hilarious. Like Rich Stone has no control over anything
No, he does not.
creatively, obviously, but it's obvious that they just do whatever because this wasn't even on the card.
No, it was not.
Technically, the only matches that I can think of that were on the card was was the speed match, was the tag team match, was um
NXT Women's Championship
the
match.
women's championship match, and then I thought it was going to be there was going to be an Izzy Dame versus Tatum match, but it was just the vignette.
Yeah, it was a face-off because they're going up against each other on Vengeance Day.
But I also got to see Miss Parker beat the brakes off of freaking.
We gonna talk about them as we get here, but after this promo, we get into the impromptu match where these two are still fighting in their suits. Clothes are being ripped off. You would think this is Thunder from Down Under, but it is a wrestling. I mean, it could go both ways, honestly.
I think I said, "Sir, this is the CW, not a strip joint."
For reals. This doesn't go for very long. I would say this goes for like 5 minutes at top, 6
It's like a
minutes.
5-7 minute match. It's a great match. Don't get me wrong. I loved every minute of it. It was hysterical. My favorite spot is when Miles rips Ethan's pants off and comes up with the shoe in one hand and the pants in the other. Just goes, "I don't want this." Hands it to the ref. Ref turns around.
There was some really good comedic timing in this match for sure.
And
And
it could have been any better unless he had hit him in the face with a jungler.
that would have been hilarious. But Miles would end up walking out still, your NXT North American champion. And Ethan Page is now clothesless as well. So this poor man had a ripped short, had ripped pants, missing a shoe. And we're going to talk to him because he looked dejected and disheveled when we see him again backstage.
This man had no clothes. He walked out in his underwear and socks and one shoe.
Poor guy. Poor guy. But happy for Miles Bourne. And Miles would end up quickly changing into some regular clothes as we would see him later as well. So fun impromptu match. I think this was a fun way to get the crowd started because then we were jumping straight into all the other stuff for this go home show. So after our impromptu match, we get the confrontation between Blake Monroe and Miss Jada Parker. So Blake starts out by herself, playing the glamour character. And essentially, what we can boil down her part of the promo too is that she's here to do a little bit of, she's happy to do a little bit of charity work. And, she's going to, give Jada the spotlight. And then Jada just comes in and interrupts. She gets on the mic and she cooking with Crisco, as you had texted me,
Oh
because
my god, yeah.
Homegirl was
Okay, I don't know
roasting
how many
her.
people have. Okay, so I've used that phrase "cooking with Crisco" since I was a kid, and some people say cooking with gas. Some people, I don't. She wasn't just cooking; she was literally in there. Just you could smell how roasted how roasted Blake was from my seat in the back. Damn, I loved every minute of this. This was so great.
Jada got some really good one-liners in here, and then she ended the promo by calling Blake Monroe a mediocre ass bitch, which then set Blake off, and then they begin to
Really?
fight.
I'm half expecting her to be like, "Look, we don't need another Tony Storm, so why don't you cut it out and move on?"
And that's essentially what Blake was getting from Jada. And so, yeah, Jada calls her a mediocre ass bitch. They begin swinging. Everybody comes in to separate the two. And of course, at this point of the night, we were for certain getting this match made for Vengeance Day. And it wouldn't even be till later in the show where we would find out that the match that was made is now something else entirely, which we're going to talk about. But good stuff from Jada. Love to see her. God, we'll talk about her because she also came back out, and it was hilarious to watch. But moving on though,
Yeah,
because God, Ethan just looks so depressed in this picture. And also, Ricky, where are we looking?
probably is. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, yes, her presidency needs to come and get her Secretary of Affairs and get his ass to main roster.
For reals. Chelsea Green,
Right.
come get your Secretary of Slay. Like,
Yeah,
get
get
your
him. I honestly, those two need to just they need to be themselves, and they need to be a faction, and it'd be better than anything the Miz could ever put together.
uh Ethan, I think Ethan's ready. Pull Ethan up to main roster. He's ready.
Oh yeah, he's fully ready.
There's like nothing else for him to do here in NXT. So hopefully after Mania, we will see Ethan go on up. So Ethan, thank you for giving us your time in NXT, and hopefully you get called over to main roster soon. Put him on Smack, like you said, put him on SmackDown with Chelsea. SmackDown needs some fun stuff right now. Moving on, Nikita Lyons, girl, this fitness journey is doing wonders for you because you look, mama, you look fit, you look healthy. Like, I love this journey for you, girl. We have toned up and I loved it. Also, Ren Sinclair is one of my new faves. She's been my new faves and she continues to be my new fave. But this is a women's speed tournament to match. So this would determine who would be facing Thea Hale in the finals to see who can earn the number one contendership and move on to face Fallon Henley for the women's speed championship. Again, speed matches in WWE, it's a 3-minute time limit. You win by pinfall or submission. We had Kendall Gray in the corner for Miss Ren Sinclair. Kendall also has her work cut out for her because tonight she on Evolve, she's gonna be facing PJ Vasa for the WWE Women's Evolve Championship in a street fight, which is gonna be interesting to watch and then see how that goes down. But I thought this was a really fun back and forth between Ren and Nikita. Of course, I love Ren's like submission finisher. It looks really cool. And Ren Sinclair ends up picking up the win here, and she will face Thea Hale next week in the finals.
I am. I'm just impressed with Ren. She's amazing. The submission, I thought it was a little weird why you were doing a submission at like not even 10 seconds left. Just go for the pin. That's just me personally. Um, she has some good chops in there. There was some great chops throughout the entire night. Um, she had a couple loud ones on the lioness there, and I'm like, oh, her fake ass titties. But this was a good match. I enjoyed it. I love seeing Ren get to do what she's really capable of and having a lot of fun with it. I'm excited for her and Thea next week because they have the same energy, just a little bit different. It's almost the same side of the different coin of the two sides of the same coin, but like
Mhm.
it's so good. I love them and I love their presence and I love their energy and I really want them to get me some more action into it.
I'm excited to see how that match goes next week. I love it, and I also hate it because at the same time, I'm like, "Who do I cheer for?" But honestly, that's the best problem to have is when your faves are both in a match because then you're just like, "I don't know who to pick." But I'm happy for either way. So Red's moving on to the finals next week against Thea. Can't wait to see how that match goes. This was a fun speed match. Now, let's keep going because this shit was funny. This shit
This
was
was
funny.
hysterical.
Miles, God, comedic timing. Joe Hendry legit looking be like, "Oh my god, I actually offended somebody." Gasp. This was funny, and this was really good. We are definitely in a shifting period for NXT, and I like that these are our 2 men's we have our men's world champion and our men's mid-card champion right here, and I am loving every minute of it.
Here's what I'm going to say about this. I'm going to check a few things. One, I love the burgundy belt back. I love
Mhm.
it. Ethan Page was great with the Canadian belt. I liked it, but the burgundy belt being back is it just I like that. It's a classic look. It looks better. Um, it matches other things better. Joe
Mhm.
Hendry's hilarious in this. Um, obviously, I agree a lot with what he's saying about Ricky Saints, and then freaking Miles Bourne acting all offended, and then doing the Hendry turn as a joke. Oh, that went over great with the crowd. We cackled. It was such a good joke because we're like, oh no, you said the dumb thing, and then Miles like, that was funny. Haha, gotcha. Um, it's. I'm loving what they're doing with Miles. I'm loving that what they're doing with Joe. I fully expect. This was part of one of the conversations I was having. I fully expect within the next year or two that Joe and Ricky Saints are going to be moving up to the main roster.
Mhm.
Um, and because that's kind of who I see at the moment. But there's a segment a little bit later that was so good. It made me like Josh Bridges a whole lot more. I'm not sure if you have it on the
I
slide.
know which one you're talking about. I couldn't, I couldn't find it on the news outlets that I follow to get these pictures, and even WWE and NXT social media didn't have it. But let me tell you, so let's talk about that because
Yes.
we were backstage and we pretty much saw a lot of our newly moved on up from Evolve men's talent. So of course we had Elio LaFleur, Eli Knight, and Super Sean Legacy talking about, Elio being the new speed champion,
Hmm.
which was really, really fun. And so Eli Knight's a little salty, but he gives Elio his props for taking advantage in the time that they were given. Super Sean Legacy is there supporting both of them. Jasper Troy comes in, is a little miffed of not being champion, wants a rematch. And the boys are like, no, you just don't get to bark orders. And that's not how this works because last I checked, I did not. Eli Knight told Jasper, I did not get pinned. So therefore, I should get first crack at it. And Josh Briggs is in the back, just like, hey, these boys are right. It's just like you just mad because you ain't champion no more. Now you're at the back of the line. And then he drops that bar and then he leaves. So it's like, where are you going, Josh?
Mwah, mwah. Thank you, Josh. It was a joke about him not being as fast. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
because he's the big guy. And so
Yeah.
Elio, Sean, Super Sean Legacy, and Eli, they were joking about it. Jasper gets mad and challenges Eli and Super Sean Legacy to a triple threat to see who would, fight Elio next. And I'm just like, all right, well, there we go. That was
Yeah.
a fun segment.
It was great.
It was. So good stuff all around. We really didn't have we didn't have too many backstage segments this episode, which was nice because
We had a
most of
few.
it was in the ring. We had a few, but not as much as we had in the last 2 weeks. I'm gonna be completely honest. So let's keep this going though, because we gotta talk about this. Shayna!
Shayna!
Shayna Baszler is training
As soon as
Kalani
I saw
Gray.
Shayna Baszler, I'm like, wait a second. Oh my god, dude.
Shayna is out here helping Kalani train for NXT Underground. And what I loved about Shayna's part in all this is she didn't bury Lola. She told Kalani, it's like, you have your work cut out for her and you better be ready because I've been in an underground match with Lola and she is the real deal and she is everything that she claims to be and then some.
Yeah.
And so Kalani's going to have to not take her lightly and to be ready. And so this was a fun segment.
It was great. I'm glad Shayna's doing something instead of being grumpy backstage.
Mm-hmm.
Which every time I see her on TikTok, she's being grumpy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually with Nia.
We love Nia Jax. I
Nia
don't
Jax.
care what no one says. I love Nia Jax in this
I think
household.
Jax needs to be allowed to just goof off and be silly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see her personality shine more. I think she's amazing.
Listen, if you have the backing of Chelsea Green of all people, then that Chelsea will ride or die for you. Is just Chelsea knows a girl's girl anywhere.
Yes. I also have to give a shout out to CVV's Chris Van Fleet on
That
that
interview was
amazing
so much
interview with
fun.
her. That was so great. I love getting to see her be herself and be goofy, which is funny enough. Nia Jax is the reason why I found Mike Rome on Twitch, who he goes by
Mhm.
Austin Mike Rome on Twitch, and joined his community and realized what he does. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then that's how I found out about being able to go to NXT. And that's
Hell
one of
yeah.
the reasons why I started going to NXT, so I could see Mike and
Yay.
holla.
Love it. So we have a little, I don't have a picture for this, but a little bit later, Lola is talking to the doctor, and the doctor is warning that technically you are cleared, but you can sustain more massive damage with the extreme being. You would lose your ability to use it and all feeling in her hand. And Lola's like, no, this is something I got to do. So I appreciate it. But hey, you know what? We've been building to this. So can't wait to see how NXT Underground match at Vengeance Day goes. And we'll talk more about that when we get into our predictions. So we keep this going because we get the face off between Izzy Dame and Tatum Tot Paxley ahead of their NXT Women's North American Championship match. And we are back with the Dollhouse. This
This
has
was
been a
too much
weird feud.
fun.
This has been a weird feud.
I understand the feud. I understand the kind of the back and forth. I understand the story, but this was so long.
It was. I'm just sitting
I'm
here.
like,
I was like, this didn't need all this time. We could have cut like
I'm
2
literally going,
minutes.
oh look, I got another level. Oh look, I got another level. That's what I
Oh,
forgot to do. I forgot to open up Pokemon Go and try and catch Pokemon.
in the performance center.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Pokemon Company, you have a hysterical thing. You could just put around the freaking performance center for WWE just nothing but fighting type.
That would be hilarious. So Izzy and Tatum go back and forth in this. Tatum reminds Izzy she's not the girl that she was before. Izzy gets upset, destroys the dollhouse, and that's how this ends. I'm gonna say my full length discussion when we talk about our predictions for Vengeance Day, but this match needs to go one way and one way only. But I'm gonna save that discussion for our Vengeance Day predictions because right now, my God, this was such a fun match. Holy shit, this is my favorite match of the
It
entire
was
night.
great. I loved this. It's like, oh, we're just gonna take the fucking stairs over and just ram it into the freaking ring. This is grand. Dong, you missed, you dumbasses.
This was such a fun match because I think it had everything. It had fun spots. There's good wrestling. We got a lot of comedy. And as much as I'm hating on Vanity Project, they actually are the perfect types of characters to be like over the top cartoony villains when it comes to these kinds of matches, just overselling everything. But let me set this up. So, of course, on one side, you have Shiloh Hill, and then, of course, our boys, the Belly Bandits, Hank and Tank. Yes, sir. And they are taking on the full force of the Vanity Project. So this includes our WWE Men's Evolved Champion Jackson Drake, and then our newly minted NXT Tag Champions in Swipe Right. This was so much fun. This was so ridiculous. There were so many good moments. I was smiling. This was such a fucking crazy match. I love it. It was so much fun. And sometimes wrestling just needs to be fun.
Okay. I just looked at my the thing my Hank and Tank jersey, and it won't be here until Monday.
I know. It's disappointing.
It's very disappointing. Anyway, but hey, if it's here Monday, I can wear it on next Tuesday.
Yes, you can.
So, but this was great. You know what? One of my favorite spots. So there's two spots that I absolutely love.
Mhm.
And it was one. It was the first one, and then it was. It literally came this one, and then like maybe 2 or 3 spots later, it was this one. I want to call it the Whirly Bird Grand Slam
Mhm.
because I think it's Hank picked up one of the swipe right boys,
Mhm.
just spun him around in the air, and then just slammed him onto the mat. I'm like, I'm gonna call that the Whirly Bird Grand Slam because that was a lot of spinning. Fucking tossed him like a freaking pizza dough, like whoa,
For
swam.
reals.
And
Lord
then
help us.
Hank and Tank set the spot up so that way they would dive out of the ring onto swipe right, and Shiloh Hill dove into the ring up the stairs, taking out Evolve champion boy, whose name I don't care about.
Jackson Drake, yeah.
Thank you. That was it was so smooth and so well timed how they did it.
Mhm.
Because it just literally was slump. It worked out great. And it was, oh, that was such a good timing. It was so great. I love this. I love Shiloh Hill. He's great. He's good at what he's doing, little comedic timings and all this. And Hank and Tank are flawless. They are so far have been my favorite tag team I've gotten to see. I can't wait for the day they get to go up to the main roster,
Mhm.
and they get to go against great tag teams like Fraxium, like the War Raiders. Oh, Hank and Tank and the War Raiders.
That'd be nuts.
Okay, sorry. Maybe the Usos at one point, just because
There's so many options.
I want the okay. So here, I'm going to go on a little tangent for a moment, please. The Usos, I really wish would get back to the goofy days where they did the Usi Hot
Mhm.
and stuff like that. And I want the goofy Usis back. Like, I like it when they're serious, and I don't like it when they're pissed off. But I want the yeet all day long. But come on, let's have some little fun. Let's do the little harmless pranks. The backstage segment stuff. Let's do that. And honestly, I would love to see them in Hank and Tank. Oh, I would love. There's so many teams I want Hank and Tank to go.
We love it for sure. But
You know who?
Shiloh, what's
Sorry,
up?
I have to keep going. I hate to interrupt you for a moment because I just saw a tweet earlier from Shiloh Hill saying that I can't stop talking to this Foremanhausen, saying, well, trying to welcome in Danhausen and his Demandhausens.
We love it.
I love everything. It's so fun. So fun. This is healing my. All right, you've been an idiot for the last year, WWE. Please don't fuck it up.
For real. So Shiloh and the Belly Bandits win. Afterwards, we get the dark version of Blake Monroe, who turns her match with Jada at Vengeance Day into a street fight. So I'm like, all right then. Jada comes out and they brawl. And it was funny watching the boys having like Hank and Tank to separate Jada and Blake, which was
It was Hank,
hilarious.
and I think it was Hank and Shiloh on Miss Parker, and Tank holding
Blake.
Blake, and Blake's just sitting there kicking her feet like this. And
Jada's ready to square up and fight for real. Like,
that's what we wanted.
So street fight at Vengeance Day. Can't wait. We'll talk about that during our picks. We got a match out of it. That is all I need to say about this one.
This man decided to go Jason Todd on Osiris.
For reals. I was just like, damn, we jumping people now. Go Tony. We here for it though. So Dion has had enough. Him and Tony go back and forth. We get a match made for Vengeance Day. We can move on with our lives. uh Listen, Tavion is me in this picture. Tavion is emoting me when I look at this group.
We are all currently Tavion right now. Like, I wanted him to say, you know how racist that shit is, calling it birthright? Next thing I know, one of you is going to shave your mustache a little too short.
Tavion with me this whole one is just like, so we gonna act like I'm not here? Okay, we acted like we ain't, and I'm not here. Okay. Tavion was so hot and bothered. And you know what? Good on Tavion for being the voice of Risa to Charlie. He's like, you can't be serious by thinking about going with these guys. Absolutely not. And I was like, tell him, Tavion. That's what I said last week and the week before that. Charlie Dempsey, you need to run as far away as you can from this.
He does. Get the fuck away.
God, and I swear, if NXT actually tries to turn them into a dominant faction, I'm gonna throw up in my mouth a little.
They're about as dominant as
And the TNA person in me has different issues because watching Ariana Grace carry that TNA Knockouts Championship, I've already discussed it at length why I'm angry about it, but you know what? It's neither here nor there. So I'm gonna move on with my life. Just like Charlie Dempsey. Charlie Dempsey needs to move on from the birthright. Please don't go with them. Tavion, thank you for being the voice of reason. Hopefully Charlie will listen to you.
Hopefully.
So I have some interesting thoughts because not just hearing the episode, but also looking at people's reaction to the match last night. And I'm just sitting here, I'm like, it's not even been a full week yet, and the world has turned against Sol Ruka. How the fuck did that happen? I know everybody loves Zarya. I love Zarya too, but damn, y'all, you turned on Sol in a less than a week. What the fuck happened?
Well, see, here's the thing. It's trying to. They're trying to break them up, obviously. And they're trying to go after each other and make it like real stupid. But the only concern I have really is like, you're not making any of these three women look strong at doing this. It's convoluted. It's a bit wonky. Now, Zarya, this whole match looked amazing. I will say that. It's a little wobbly. It was a little like. I forgot your camera moves.
Right.
So I'm sitting there, I'm kind of like looking over at the and all of a sudden I just see
Right.
the fuck.
Right.
But it's this is just I'm half expecting them to do a 3-way or to do a triple threat for for either
That's
stand and deliver or for Vengeance Day.
I'm pretty
Most
sure.
likely it's going to be stand and deliver.
Yeah, because especially what we see from Robert Stone a little bit later, which we'll talk about next. But Sol Ruka snatches both of their souls. I love JC selling in this picture. Look at her in the middle of the ring. I'm
She's
just
just like,
like,
ugh.
JC, you win the internet for me this week with this picture. It is fantastic, and honestly, I'm excited for the match. I just don't like how we have gone through with the story beats so far. But you know, speaking of which, let's just get into Robert Stone because he's backstage with Sarah. And so Robert says that he's going to address the NXT Women's Championship picture scene because for the last 2 weeks, we've had interferences, we've had shenanigans go on. And so Robert's going to address the NXT Women's Championship picture at Vengeance Day. So we're going to get a segment, which is probably going to set up and announce a triple threat for Stand and Deliver, which I'm cool with because it started at Stand and Deliver for Soul and Zarya last year. It needs to end at Stand and Deliver, and JC will also be there. if Listen, I am happy either way if Zarya or Soul walks out as champion. JC does not need to walk out as champion at Stand and Deliver. I feel
I
like
agree.
she's done. She's ready to move over to main roster or to do something else here before going over. But Robert Stone is going to address the NXT Women's Championship picture scene on Saturday at Vengeance Day, so we're going to have to tune in then. Alrighty, so we are about to head into the home stretch. So before we get into what ended the show, yes, we got to talk about it. I see Kilt rolling eyes in the back of his head. We have to. But before we do, once again, last call, if you will. You can find our social medias in the link in the chats of everywhere that we are streaming to currently, as well as a link to our merch store. And yeah, so that is the last call for that. All right, Kels, let's just rip the band-aid off. So the Ricky Saints experience is here. And this, listen, I know wrestling is cringe sometimes, but like this was on a level where I was like, never do this again, NXT. And it was so bad that apparently allegedly, WWE has removed any clips of this from their social media sites because of the backlash of people saying how bad this was. I'm like, this was god awful. And I felt so sorry for you because you were there live.
I forgot this was a thing. He walks out. I'm like, why is he in his pajamas?
I was like, all right, Rock Light, Pebble. Like, what are we doing?
Look here, Pebble. Like, fucking Timu version of The Rock.
This was awful, Kilt. And I know we've seen a lot of crazy stuff happen in wrestling in the last year, and we've talked about it, but this was really god awful. I was like,
We
this
literally tried to get them to speed this along. It was terrible.
it was
I understand
bad.
it's supposed to be bad. I don't need 8 minutes of dragged on bad. The only saving grace was when it was at the end when a certain somebody Elka bombed the shit out of Ricky Saints.
Right. So Joe Hendry comes out to stop this madness. Ricky tries to fight. He gets El Kabong by Joe Hendry. We try to have some running interference, but things are even odds. And we see Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne standing tall at the end of the show as NXT goes off the air for the week. And a lot of people are like, Joe stood tall. Does that mean Ricky's winning at Vengeance Day? I'm like, the fuck, he better not. I don't think so. I don't think Ricky wins it here. If anything, he'll probably win it at Stand and Deliver. But thank God for Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne. They, unlike, well, unfortunately, like Maxine Waters, I was not able to reclaim my time for the 7 minutes that I saw Ricky's, quote unquote concert. But thank God for Joe Hendry and Miles Bourne for saving us and actually giving me something I enjoy seeing as cameras and NXT goes off the air for the week. Kilt. So overall, I thought this was a pretty fun episode of NXT, a fun go home. We definitely put the final pieces in place for matches we are getting this Saturday at Vengeance Day. We also, again, I think the 6-man tag team match between Shiloh and the Belly Bandits versus the Vanity Project was probably one of my favorite. It was my favorite match of the episode. And you know what? I'm looking forward to watching Vengeance Day on Saturday. So let's just get into it. So if you are brand new here to BC WrestlePod, what we like to do is when we do post shows before go homes, we also will do a predictions. We do our predictions for the upcoming PLE pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it. So we do our predictions, and I will just say NXT has kind of screwed all of us over this year with predictions of how wonky they have gone with their decisions. And I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I'm looking at you, Deadline. You really screwed my predictions over. Me and Will barely made it out with 1 point. Kilt just got railed so hard.
It was so bad.
It really was. So I had just posted our form in our text message chat. So we're going to go there. So we are going to go through these matches, and we're going to now. These matches are in no particular order. However, this is how I would book the show, and this is where I would put all the matches. So let's just get into it, shall we? So we're going to first talk about this match that is the most recently made and what I would have open the show, which is Tony D'Angelo versus Dion Lennox. This is just a regular match. To me, this is an easy pick, Kilt. I feel like Tony D'Angelo needs to go over here. He needs to win this since we're playing this whole vengeance arc for him. And I think that Dion is going to go down in this one. So I got Tony D'Angelo winning this one.
I do this as the same. I think this is the end of Dark State, at least as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
They might scatter for a little while, regroup. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But there's going to be some Dark State shenanigans, and Tony's gonna finish step 1, and then he's going to tell us about step 2.
For real. So I agree with you. I think this is the end of Dark State as we currently know it. Tony, both of us got winning here. Next up, I would have our NXT Underground match go up next. So Lola Vice versus Kalani Jordan in an NXT Underground match. They have gone back and forth. And due to everything that we have seen so far, Kalani has been on the up and up for the most part of this feud. I got Lola winning this one because I think, especially after that vignette with the doctor, unless she's going to take some time off, I think Lola wins the underground match. So I got Lola Vice winning over Kalani Jordan. And I think this is also the end of this feud as we know it as well.
This should be the end of the feud, and we should move on from here. I do have Lola for this.
Mm-hmm.
Kiana, she's been winning the entire time.
Kalani has gotten the wins and the one-ups on Lola, so Lola, I feel like, needs to win this blow-off match, and so should be exciting. Can't wait to see how this goes. Next up, we have our NXT Women's North American Championship, Izzy Dame versus Tatum Paxley. This has been a really weird feud because a lot of it has been built in promos and videos, and then we got the final sit-down this episode on the go home. You can't make me root against Tatum. So I have Tatum, and I don't care if I get the point or lose the point. You can never make me root against Tatum.
Tatum's winning this, especially after that vignette.
Tatum should win this one, especially after we've only got a 2-week NXT Women's Championship reign. I'm still mad about that.
That was stupid. That was beyond necessary. You could have kept it on there for a while.
I'm just like, we panicked and they took it off her, and I was mad. But I have Tatum winning here, so hopefully we get to see her become NXT Women's North American Champion and let her have an actual run. NXT, please. Shawn Michaels, love you down, but like let's do this. So in our semi-main event, it should be Jada Parker and Blake Monroe in the street fight. I think this should be a fun one. I think we're going to get shenanigans now because this is NXT. I'm not expecting it to be the level of, oh my God, we're going to see them bleed all over the place. But I really do hope they get creative with some of the spots. Now, I'm a little torn because I've gone back and forth with this, but just like my reasoning with Tatum, I can't root against Jada. So I feel like Jada needs to win this one. Blake can lose and go on to do other things. But I want to see 2026. We keep pushing Jada towards the top of the card. And so a win over Blake Monroe, I think, would do wonders for her. So I'm going to go with Miss Jada Parker to win the street fight in this one.
Exactly.
And then
She's gonna be.
finally, oops, sorry. And then finally, in the main event of NXT, which is probably going to main event anyways, we have our NXT Men's Championship. Joe Hendry defending the titles against Ricky Sate. I'm not the biggest fan of how we built this feud, but you know what? I think in-ring wise, I still think it's going to be pretty solid wrestling. I do like Ricky's wrestling ability. Joe Hendry's also a lot of fun too. I don't foresee Ricky winning here. If anything, if we get a rematch at Stand and Deliver, I think he would win at Stand and Deliver. But I got Joe Hendry retaining the championship here in this one.
Yeah, this is definitely not what it's going to be. It's going to be
Sweet.
Joe retaining the entire time.
So, yeah. So those are predictions for Vengeance Day. It's a pretty simple 5-match card, which I appreciate because it's better than main roster's 4-match card. I could tell you that much. I miss 5-match cards on main roster PLE. So it's like, what's so hard about putting 5 matches on a card? But whatever, that's for another conversation.
They could
And
have
that brings
6 matches and it still be good.
for reals. And well, now that officially brings us to the end of our NXTilosos review. So next Tuesday, we will be skipping a week of NXTilosos, but we are bringing the NXTrema crew. So that is our NXT pay-per-view squad, which is still the same 3 people, just a different graphic. But we will be we will be breaking down Vengeance Day next Wednesday at the same time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific. But we have a pretty fun rest of the week going for us. So later tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific, I will be here with hopefully Papa Oso, and we will be breaking down all this week's action in CMLL as we to not only talk about the Viernes Espectacular episode that happened last Friday, and we talk about the hair versus hair match that happened, but we're also going to be previewing a very fun and special show coming up this Friday because this Friday is the International Women's Day show in Mexico. And it is nothing but women's wrestling Amazona action this Friday. And I am looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. Then on Friday at 7:30 p.m. Pacific, the TNA crew will be here to talk about TNA and we will break everything down. We also have some news about some wrestlers quitting today from TNA. So we're going to discuss that and what that means for the company going forward. So this was insane. And then next week, we have a stacked week. Monday, of course, where the New Japan crew is back to review the New Beginnings USA show. We have Vengeance Day coming up. Well, AEW, we have our go home episode and our predictions for Revolution, which your boy will be in the building in Los Angeles next Saturday to cover Revolution. So I'm excited to go to the AEW pay-per-view. Wednesday is Vengeance Day and the International Women's Day episode for CMLL. Then Thursday, we will also be debuting a new team, which is the Velvet Underground, as we are going to be debuting and introducing our next and new brand that we will be covering here at BC WrestlePod, which is Eve Girls of Battle Riot. So this is an all-women's promotion in the UK that takes all the independent UK talent and puts them together, and I'm excited. So I'm going to be sending out the message tomorrow to see if any of the boys want to pop in. And, the show is on YouTube. It's going to be on YouTube for free. And so we can watch it on YouTube. And then Thursday, we'll be here to break down Eve's Wrestle Queendom 8. All women's wrestling. You got to love it. And then we wrap things up on Friday with TNA as well. So we got a fun stuff planned this week. But that's going to be it for me and Kill tonight. But thank you so much for tuning in. We will be back next week with our Vengeance Day post show. But from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you watching at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. I'll see you later tonight at 8 p.m. Pacific for CMLL. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.